We tried a Fire Elemental Mage. We had tried one that I made that was more close to the deck that exists now, like that my husband's playing. And then Edelweiss came in and was like, no. You just need to go all in on Saroon. Yeah. Like, we're running Rayla to run Grill Masters to draw Saroon. Because you're not actually, you don't run Lamplighters. You don't care that much about keeping your chain going. You care about getting Saroon. And then you can just win out of nowhere with that. Like we had multiple games where we're like, this is scary, we're gonna lose, and then suddenly, oh no, wait, we have a bunch of spell damage. Yeah. We have a bunch of fire spells in our hand, they're just dead.
Yeah, we just top decked like a Flame Geyser, like, oh no, never mind, they're dead. It's fine. Like if you hit an Overflow Surger, which makes a copy of itself for every minion you've played, every turn you've played an elemental, fire spell damage on that also copies. So that's the high roll, right? But you don't even need to do that. Like even just like playing Fireflies and playing like Aqua Archivist into something, which makes the next one free, so it's effectively free itself. Or just like playing a Shale Spider and getting another card, which could be another elemental that gives you spell damage. Like just it's all good enough. And yeah, there's a lot of damage you can do.
As long as you get Saroon down in like a timely fashion, it just ends up being the scenario where you run just enough elementals that there will consistently be a bunch of them, and they all have the +1 spell damage. Eventually, it's like, well, they can't quite clear everything, so you just start your turn with a couple points of fire spell damage in play, and then you play some more stuff. Now you've got +4 fire spell damage, +5. The biggest like big deal card, I think, is the Solar Flare.
Yeah.
Being able to just clear a full board of stuff defensively to like work towards getting the higher end things. Do debate like whether it's worth having a copy of the Forge spell.
Yeah.
Molten Rune.
Rune. Just because that gives you some reach.
It's so much damage, right?
It's so much damage.
4 spell damage.
I mean,
on Molten Rune.
Flame Geyser is 1 less damage. I guess you're doubling it. Yeah. The thing also with Solar Flare is that it gets cheaper for every elemental you play. So like you want to do that anyway, right? So like once you've played Saroon, you're not only making the Solar Flare cheaper, but you're also increasing the amount of damage. And it says enemies, not minions, by the way. So that goes face as well, which is a lot. I mean, that's just insult to injury when you're doing 9 to the board and you're hitting their face at the same time. Like,
it's an aggressive deck, but it's a deck that it doesn't need to win through the board, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, this version was much less a board-focused deck and much more like a Saroon deck. Decks where you can have some over-the-top damage. Hopefully that'll help counteract some of the sort of, we're going to make big starships decks. Which starships are also cool, to be clear, but I want something that can kill them as well. So a lot of people, including me, looked at Saroon and said, well, that says in your deck, not in your hand. Right. And we remember how bad that was for the Hunter Arcane Legendary. And obviously this is theory crafting, we'll have to see, but because we have like that elemental that just draws 3 cards, and there's just so much draw in this deck that it was not hard to get the elementals with spell damage into our hand.
Yeah. And then there's the one we already had, Unchained Guardian, where for every elemental you played on the previous turn, so this is where it gets tricky, right, is planning out your Unchained Guardian turns. For each elemental you played on the previous turn, you repeat its battle cry of draw a card. So that can get you, 3 to 5 cards, depending, which is really big, particularly because of another new elemental that I experimented with and then was pleasantly surprised. The shuffle 5 random fire spells into your deck. They cost 2 less. The quality of fire spells is pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, the only bad one, and it's not even all that bad, is like the draw 3 burn in 3 turns.
Which for this deck might not be that bad.
I would say Eat the Imp is a little worse, just because it's trickier to use.
Hellfire could be a problem with all the spell damage, because you could kill yourself too. Yeah,
potentially.
But you could also kill them if you have a little extra health. Yeah. So, and that gives you some extra reach in case you had to use your Solar Flares early to survive. And this is not like, it was not a simple deck to play, which is, people think, well, it's a minion type deck. It's just going to be like play by numbers, but that's not how it felt to play.